Yeah.
Well, I am the oldest daughter of the Jimenez Lopez family. My name is Julie Marcela Jimenez Lopez. I take my mom's second name, and I'm going to be 46 years old soon. I'm a wife, I'm married, and I have now three beautiful kids. And I'm a
Lovely.
working mom too.
Lovely. And a doggy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. If I asked you to go back down memory lane, what would you say are one of the earliest memories you have of being a child?
Earliest memories I have of being a child. Um, Always being with my parents, being with my sisters, different countries, wherever we were always together. I just have that in my mind. We were always together, going out, going on field trips, vacations, just family time. We're just a very close family. That's what I remember.
I guess you were too small when Milena was born. So as far as you were in your mind, you just remember Milo. Do you remember when I was born?
Absolutely.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I
Oh,
do. I
wow.
remember. I remember my mom's belly while I was growing. I remember you being in her tummy, and we used to go and caress her. And I remember the day you were born, when
Really?
we were in
Wow.
the hospital. Yeah, absolutely. It was quite a day. My mom had quite a difficult delivery that with you. It was scary for both of us, for both me and Milo, for my dad. Um, but yeah, I definitely remember when you were born, and I do remember what we said.
And what did you say?
Oh goodness, mommy, why did she come out like that with all that skin?
Yeah,
She's
you
like,
guys said, why
"Oh,
was I so
lady."
ugly? That's so mean.
Not exactly like that. We were just like, oh my goodness, yeah, because unfortunately, mom's what was it, amniotic fluid or what it's called? Yeah, you just drained it out of her, so you were a little dry. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
now you're beautiful. Yeah, yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so in terms of birthdays, like, do you have any, did they do birthday parties when you were growing up, that you can remember? Do you go back and you're like, oh, okay, I had this birthday party, or was it more just, you know, a blur for you when you look back on those kind of milestones?
No, I do. I do have memories of birthday parties. I mean, dad and mom always did celebrate our birthdays. But one of the ones that I do have in mind was at the ice ring here in Cyprus, where we did one of mine and Milo's birthdays. I think we did it together because we're 1 week apart, and that was at the ice
Effective.
skating ring. Yeah, and yeah, that's a very fond memory. I remember I used to love to ice skate and rollerblade. I think it was a rollerblading ring, not an ice ring. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now that I remember back, yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I remember looking at the photos, not
Yeah,
really being there, but I think I remember photos.
yeah, you were there, but
I'm
couldn't
sure.
rollerblade yet. Yeah.
Um,
You're always around.
good.
Yeah.
In terms of Christmases, are there any like Christmas traditions that you remember? You're like, oh yeah, that's something that we did that you think, oh, that, you know, like things we didn't do. Sometimes you hear other families say like, oh, we did this. I'm like, oh, we never did that. So like, what do you remember that, particularly we would do as a Christmas, or what was Christmas like if you had to describe it?
Well, it depends. I mean, if it was Christmas at home and we hadn't traveled somewhere else, it was always like my mom is has always been very, how do you say, religious in the sense of she's instilled that the faith in us. So I was always going to church, and that I always remember, even to this day, it was like, oh my God, if you didn't go to church. And then having dinner together was very important for them, that we were always there. No matter what other plans we had, we just had to be there. But what else? And the Christmas tree, we always used to do the Christmas tree together. Uh, Loads of presents all the time. I mean, they used to just like really spoil us. Really, it wasn't like some other people that get one, two presents each. It was just mountains of presents and being together. Yeah,
It was mountains. And then when I think, good God, if I ever have a child, they will get one book and that's it.
exactly, exactly. Yeah. So I have one of those issues where Christmas comes and it's so how do you say, in me, I'm so used to that with my kids now, I'm like, oh, this is too empty,
Yeah.
I need to fill it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if it's good or not, but yeah,
Yeah, that's
there you
fine.
go, family tradition there.
Yeah, it's true. What about Easter's? Is there anything about Easter that you're like, oh yeah, that's something we did?
Easter, I don't really have any memories like other kids did, the egg hunt and
No.
painting the eggs and things like that. We weren't really much of celebrating Easter, but we I do remember celebrating Easter going to church. That was the main thing, going to church.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Good Friday.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, that was
So
definitely
excuse all the
something we
randomers
did.
behind me, but
Yeah,
so yes, less the pagan elements, I guess, more the religious
yeah,
elements.
yes, yes. But
Um,
that was the Easter memories that I have. Yeah.
and now that you have got kids, are there things that you're like, I do this because you mentioned the presents, but is there anything else that you're like, oh, I do this because that's what I know?
Um, I've tried to do the Friday, to keep the Friday no meat eating. Um, but
You mean on
yeah,
Good
no,
Friday?
yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
And
not every Friday. Good God.
no, 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 Good Friday, and going to church. Yeah,
Yeah.
that definitely.
Yeah, we
Hmm.
did. I forget that we did fast on Good Friday. That is
Yeah,
kind of true.
yeah.
Um,
But Dad used to make fish, really delicious fish.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Um,
Mhm.
and if you had to identify a couple of aspects of your personality that you see that stem from your mom or your dad, what would they be? Each of them, both of them, rather. Yeah,
I I do think I have some of both
yeah.
in personality. I know that I'm stubborn.
Really?
And yeah, really. So, uh, not very good at how do you say, following advice sometimes. So I tend to go my way. So I think my calmness, let's say, I would take it from my dad. He's a calm person. My stubbornness, um, I would say from my mom a little bit. She's a bit stubborn. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
She has her moments. Yeah, she does.
yeah, yeah.
Um, okay, well, on that note of personalities, if we were all animals, okay, all of us animals, what would you define my mom as and my dad? Who are they? What kind of little animal would they be?
I wouldn't define my mom as a little animal at all. She's little in let's say in her physique, but as a little animal, no, I would definitely identify her as a lion, like she says.
Lion. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because that's one of the things I never forget that mom says that um, you know I'm like a lion. I will defend my children no matter what, and I'm sure. And yes, we've been witnesses of how she's taken out her claws
Yeah.
and done that. So
Yeah.
that's how I would identify mom and dad. I don't know. I think I would identify him with not a little animal either, uh, with a horse for some reason.
Yeah.
A wonder,
Reliable,
something.
maybe.
Yeah, taking a lot on and always galloping forward. That's how I see him.
And on that note, like in terms of their marriage, right? So they're a husband, a wife, you now have a husband as well. What parts of their marriage do you think, oh, I mirror that or I don't mirror that? Like, what have you seen in them? Because kids do look at their parents. So what do you pull out from that?
No, wow, that's an interesting question. What do I mirror in my marriage right now? I try to have the patience they have. I think in a relationship, it's really admirable the patience that they've had with one another over a half a century. you know,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Um, but perhaps no, I still lack in some things communication because I think they must have a lot of communication and between them. Um, so I do pull. I try to pull from our parents' marriage.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's an achievement. 50 years. Good God.
Indeed, you don't see that anymore.
No, you don't see that anymore. And why do
Yeah.
you think that is? What do you think it is about them that made them stick through this long? When I think I read it's a divorce rate of 40% to 60%, depending on, what country you're looking at. But that's whatever it is, pretty high.
Hmm.
Like, what do you
What do
think
I
made
think
them stick it
stayed?
out? Mm,
Their commitment to one another, really sincere. Their faith, I think,
yeah,
also was a huge factor in their marriage, staying together. Growing up with them, they really put everything, all their troubles, all their concerns and worries, in faith. And I think they stood together in the good and the bad times. Yeah. I
And
think their foundation comes from there.
talking about bad times, what do you remember as being some challenging times for them, for a family, for the family on the whole, that you're like, oh, well, that was, that was instrumental in building character, or that was instrumental in how, you look back on your family journey when you look, back in time?
Well, I would say taking into account my dad's job working within the United Nations and him always being on mission, like real field missions. I think it did impact the way that we grew up. It also impacted how mom had to deal with, three children. And we were small, and there were times where we were under, in conflict areas.
Yeah.
And just seeing her deal with situations like that, uh, I think, yeah, overall impacted the three of us, the way that we are now, how we see things, how we are.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm far too young that the latest that I can recall is like noise and the sirens in Iraq, but in my memory it was a game, and I can say bye to my dad through this little hole and I'm leaving, but it's a game, so I don't feel like I was so affected by the fact that they were in so much warfare. But I guess you guys are older, so you understood that these are not loud noises. It's like it's actually a
War.
conflict, war, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um,
No, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. You're definitely smaller, but no, no, I was much older then. And then I could see, yeah, I could feel the fear, the survival, the leaving dad behind, like when we had to leave him behind, that was really hard. Going through the whole transition of trying to get to a safe place, which they were sending us here, that was difficult. Seeing my mom, also having to deal with that situation, was quite hard as well. So yeah, those were challenging times. Yeah.
yeah, okay, that's good, that's fine. So just to test you, because I asked Milena and
Right.
this didn't go very well. How did our parents meet?
Oh goodness. I think I am not too sure, but if I remember of the stories, I think they met at work. My dad had been transferred to Jopal, where my mom was working. He was there stationed for 6 months temporary job, and it happened to be, if I remember correctly, the story that yeah, he saw her in the office. I think it was, and I don't know. I think it was love at first sight. A nice mini falda that she was wearing,
Yeah,
her long hair, her
yeah,
beautiful nails,
yeah. Yeah, she was in
Yeah.
a mini skirt, apparently.
Yes.
A mini skirt, little dungaree thing. I think that's what I
Yes.
remember on top.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Beautiful nails and long
um,
hair.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and in terms of um, your parents, our parents, Tom always talk about this, our parents as grandparents to now all three of your kids. Like, what are the moments that you remember them in terms of how they've influenced you, and how they've influenced your kids, like how they've been involved in your lives, like with each of them. So like with Enrique and then Christian and now Isabella, what what role did they play? Where were they involved?
Oh, no. In my situation, well, because, I've lived they were here in Cyprus, and fortunately for me, I've had the opportunity to live with them longer in
Yeah,
comparison to both you and Milo.
yeah,
No, they have been involved from the get-go. They have supported me with Enrique, with his upbringing, being there. We lived with mom and dad, me and
yeah,
Enrique, and they've always been there. The same when Christian was born. The only difference was he was born during COVID time, so that was hard. That was a little bit hard, yeah, definitely. But they, like I said, in any situation, they have been there either physically or however they can. So yeah, they're a huge part of of my kids' upbringing, all three of them.
and do you,
Um,
I know Isabella's still very small, but do you see like aspects of their relationship, of their personality being like, oh, that's actually from their grandmother or their granddad, their abuelo or their
yeah,
abuela?
for sure. It's definitely there. Like I can do. Enrique, he grew up listening to my dad's vallenatos and songs in the car. So he's 23 now, and he recalls those things. Or Christian, he's picked up my mom saying, because I say it now. So that's one of the things that he says. And Isabella, she is connected to both my dad and my mom. They like to their voice, because they haven't had the opportunity to spend that much time with her
Mm.
because she was born premature and that. But no, yeah, like you tell her, baile que baile, like la mami le dice, baile que baile, and she starts moving and dancing. Or my dad, he has this saying, el abuelo, and Martin says that as well to her every day. It's hilarious, and they react to it. Yeah,
Yeah. Are what are um what are some of the things that you think about when you think about your parents and you're like, oh, I really respect them for that, or I found that really honorable, impressive. What are things that you're like that I'm filled with admiration towards my mom or my dad because of something they did or said or you know.
well, my dad, what can I say? I admire him for his courage to go and take, you know, uh, risks for us to be where we are. He wasn't in easy field missions at all. He had his own personal encounters with, facing life and death situations. And I think on the same level, I admire my mom's strength and willingness to push through to support not only us but support him, and giving up her career for raising us.
Yeah.
That's admirable as
Yeah.
well. It's not an easy thing to do.
No,
Yeah,
no, no, not an easy thing at all.
yeah.
And usually usually there's things that we don't say, and there's moments that you're like, if only I had like said that, so like, is there anything that you're ever like, if I had it, 30 seconds of gratitude or love for my mom or my dad, or that was the last thing they were going to hear, what would you say?
I would say thank you for, which I've said it before, but yeah, I just I wouldn't have enough words, to be honest with you, to show my gratitude, to show my love, to show my everything that they've been, my guide, my mom's prayers, they always follow me, they're so strong. My dad's, I don't know, how can I say, I always remember his hard hand that he has smacking me on the back of my, on my back. But all these little things, I just wouldn't change them for the world. And thank them for the childhood that I've had. I can't complain.
No, no, no. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, we had a very nice childhood. I think
we
Milena
did.
also mentioned she was like, we don't really remember like any sort of aggression or bickering or whatever,
At all.
arguing at all.
Yeah,
I don't know when they argued, but I mean,
yeah, me neither.
they really had
But
like a closed door.
they really protected us in that sense, I think.
They
And I
did.
think it's really, really important to do that, especially when you have kids. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, then just to close off, um,
Mhm.
instead of saying things to me, I guess I'll give you, I don't know, you've got another 4 minutes left. So, um, what would you say to my parents on their wedding anniversary? Try in Spanish.
Well, what?
In Spanish.
Ah, of course. Oh dear, what would I say to my parents? No, ¿qué les puedo decir? De todo corazón los quiero mucho. Son una admiración verlos como han crecido como pareja, como papá, como mamá. Solo les pido bendiciones, salud para ustedes, que sean felices, que disfruten de la vida, porque todavía tienen mucha vida y los necesitamos todavía acá todos. Y un millón de gracias, no sé cómo le decía antes a Lon, no sé, no hay palabras para expresar todo lo que yo tengo en el corazón para decirles, pero les digo que Dios me los bendiga y que disfruten de su día, y aunque estemos lejos, siempre estamos juntos y los quiero mucho. Un beso.
Perfect.